Ooh, this lighting is like, yes. What's up, guys? Welcome to my channel. I am Stacia Quesadilla, and if you're like me, and by that I mean black, when you go to a new place or are planning to go to a new place, sometimes your first thought or second thought is, are there any black people here? Like, is there a black community in this place? Will I be the only person that looks like me in this place? And if so, you kind of start planning around what that experience is going to be like or not. But some places you're like, okay, easy peasy. You get there, you know, okay, I'm surrounded by friends, allies. Atlanta, DC, places where it's not too hard to find a black person. Other places you go or you think about going and you're like, I've never actually met a black person from that place. That was my experience with Portland. I was going out there to visit my sister who had just moved there the week prior, and I was like, this is Whitesville. You know, I've met one black family from Portland, but other than that, I was like, yeah, it's probably about to be like a bunch of white people there. But if you came to this video just to find out if there are black people in Portland, the answer is yes. There is a vibrant black community in Portland. If you want to learn more about them and meet some of the ones that I met while I was there, then stay tuned. So like I said, I was visiting Portland because my sister had moved in a couple of days before I was going there, and you know, based on the demographics of Portland, which I think is like 5% black, or that might just be all of Oregon. Either way, I was expecting it to be like uncomfortably white, and as a black person, we are used to being the minority. We're used to being in spaces where we are the only of our type, you know. But there's also like certain precautions that you take or just certain things you prepare yourself for when you're going into those types of spaces. And so that's what I was, you know, just mentally prepared for in Portland. But I figured, as is with most places, you know, if there are black people, I want to find them and I want to hear their story. And I want to know what it's like to be you in this place. And so we set out helping my sister move in. But as we were going around the city, I'm always looking like, okay, where are the black people? What do they look like? Like, what's their experience like? So when we first got there, or when I first got there, my first day there, we went to get breakfast at a place called Einstein's Bagels. And oh my gosh, all this noise. Anyway, and there at Einstein's, we saw two black ladies, older black ladies, seasoned black ladies. And as a black woman, when you get somewhere, you got to figure out where you're going to get your hair done, where you're going to buy your hair supplies at, and that type of thing. So I was like, you know, I'm about to ask these ladies where the beauty supply store is for my sister. So we get to talking to the women. I explained to them that my sister had just moved there, and we started talking, just asking about like where the beauty supply store might be or where we could find one. And they gave us a lot of information. They told us that Northeast Portland would be a good place to start, over by MLK, which we all know what that means. And also that Northeast Portland had been gentrified a lot, and a lot of the black people have moved to East Portland, and so that we should check out East Portland as well. What she called the Numbers. The Numbers is the name of this area. So I was like, all right, now we know where to start. So later that evening, we went to a like street festival, kind of like a, like there were people on the street like they had the street blocked off, and there was people like selling their items on the street, like all types of stuff. You know, there was food, there was jewelry, shirts, just, you know, like a street market type thing. It's called Last Thursday on Alberta, I believe. And my sister's like team from work invited her to that before she kind of like started work or whatever. So we went out there, and guys, on our drive over there, we realized that we were passing, like, first of all, we realized it was in Northeast Portland, which we had already gotten intel if that was a place where the black people might be. And also, we passed over Martin Luther King Drive, and we were like, we're here, we've arrived to our people.
Reverend Carl Allen.
We are getting close. So we get there, park and everything, and I see black people. And it's not like a black neighborhood necessarily. Like, there was people of all types selling things out there, but it was just more black people in one spot than I had seen all day. I had a big old Patagonia jacket for $25. So that was pretty exciting. And then as I'm walking down the street, you know, Portland, or at least where we were, it was like downtown Portland, it was kind of quirky, you know. But as I'm walking down the street, I'm seeing more black people like selling things and that type of stuff, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. So anyway, I ended up meeting a number of black business owners. I actually stopped at one table because the lady was selling hair, like bundles, and I was like, oh my god, the beauty supply store.
This is a 1-year guarantee on the hair. You can reuse it, bleach it and dye it. Yes, thank you for taking pictures.
So I stopped and talked to her, and even though she didn't own a beauty supply store, she owns a hair shop where she sells bundles, and she has a stylist that does hair. She introduced me to other black business owners there. One of them was sold makeup and mink lashes, and the other was a chef. And so I got to talk to them, and it was really exciting. And you notice that feeling when you find your tribe somewhere, when you find people that you can connect with over something. For us, it's that we're black, which comes with a totality of experiences in America that only other black people will be able to understand. So that's the connection we got, and I was just very excited to see them and to talk to them and to learn about their experience there in Portland, being that there was such a small percentage of black people there in Oregon and in Portland. So anyway, here's some video of when I talked to Quinny, who owns the hair store.
But Portland, Oregon, it is not a lot of black people, but it is, if that makes sense.
Right, so, like in the community, it's a tight-knit community.
Yeah.
So if somebody is like moving to Portland, or they're visiting Portland and they're looking for people that look like them, where can they go?
MLK. Okay. MLK Junior Boulevard. I mean, every state has the MLK, you know, and that's where black people are. I'm located at 3511 Northeast MLK, which is MLK and Fremont. So I'm right in the inner city on that busy street, and it's the most popular street here in Portland.
So I also met her friends from Arrogant Cosmetics and Kiss the Chef, which I will link their information below. But they were just really awesome, like very welcoming. You know, sometimes when you're around new people, whether they're black, white, whatever, there could be like a distrust, or like a, okay, what do you want? Why are you, here asking us these questions? But I mean, granted, it could have been because they were business owners and they're, there to sell. But it was just a very welcoming place. Like, I know that when I go back to Portland, I'm going to hit them up. Like, that type of welcoming. Like, they were like, hey, your sister just moved here. Like, give her our number. Like, connect her with us. Or she gave me, like, different communities that my sister could join. Like, PDX, Women of Color. PDX stands for Portland. Women of Color. That type of stuff. So I know that when I go to a new place, I love connecting with other like-minded people, and not just like-minded, but people that get me. Obviously there's a benefit to having friends of all backgrounds or whatever, but it's always good to have somewhere that resembles home for you. And that's what I find when I find a black community. And with the Portland black community, like, so welcoming, so nice, like, just it felt like home on the West Coast. You know what I'm saying? And I just love that. I love that I can have that with them, even though I didn't know them.
And we're really friendly. Like, if you walk up, be like, hey, how you doing? Like, this is a long-time friend. And everybody's kind of, like, family-oriented, too, because you like family to me. You know, you grew up with my brother. So, but that's how you do. Your sister comes, and she says, hey, what's up? And we say, hey, girl.
Okay.
And she tells us about Texas, and we tell her
meet
about
up on
Portland.
social media, and then we, like, that's what we usually put where we're gonna be or what's going on. She put, you know, what she's doing, where she's gonna be, and we all kind of just link up from there. I think we all kind of stay close together, you know, as a Black community. That's
awesome. Long story short, Portland was awesome. It was a lot of fun. I was only there for 3 days, but in those 3 days, I was able to locate the Black community. I made friends and connections that I'm definitely going to connect with when I go back to Portland. And yeah, there are Black people in Portland. There is a Black community. You just have to find them and connect with them. They're not going to be everywhere, but if you're diligent about locating the area where they might be, I sound like I'm talking about like a wild animal that's hard to find, but like, you know, I mean, in Portland, we are hard to find, you know, depending on where you're at. If you're in Southwest Portland, where my sister lives, like, it wasn't that many, but if you go to other areas, then you will find minorities. And another thing that I wanted to add was that even though Oregon was a white flag state, and by that I mean they were the only state in the union that when they joined the union, they had in their constitution, bylaws or whatever, that Black people could not live there, like within the bounds of the state. So that's kind of what the state started off as. But to say that that was the case, it was very diverse, like lots of everybody, or not lots of everybody, but enough of everybody where I didn't feel like this is not diverse at all, you know. Like, I saw people of Indian descent, Hispanic descent, Black people obviously, Asian descent. Like, I saw a little bit of everybody. So yeah, I didn't feel uncomfortable there. I've gone to places like South Dakota where I did feel uncomfortable. Like, watch over your shoulder, just because you never know, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't feel that way in Portland. I felt very yeah, I felt like I could be comfortable there. And one other thing that I failed to mention was that at the street festival that we went to, there was a movie playing, or a documentary playing, called Priced Out, and it's about gentrification in Northeast Portland, which was really interesting, because if you know anything about gentrification, then you've heard the story of Northeast Portland before. You've heard the story of DC. You've heard the story of, I mean, any city around the U.S. Those who moved to the suburbs at one time are moving back to the city and displacing those people that are in the city now. So that is the story of Northeast Portland. But I would definitely recommend that you look into it if you're interested in that type of thing, or if you're going to Northeast Portland, or if you're going to Portland in general, just so you can have the history of the city, which I love to know as I'm moving in different spaces, like what was here, what is here now, what are the dynamics like between the people living here. And it was very interesting. But like I said, if you know anything about gentrification, then you've heard the story before. But just kind of knowing that story for Portland was really interesting. And it just makes you more aware, and makes your heart go out to those communities. It makes you want to give, not even give back, but just make sure you stand up for those people, because of what they have gone through. And I think that's the thing about gentrification, is that the people that move into these places, it's like they're unaware of what was there, or they don't care of what was there, and the meaning and the significance and the community that was built before they decided, oh, I can see this being something else, And so I think it's always important, Black, white, whatever, when you go somewhere, to at least be aware of what's there, and what that community is like, and what they have gone through. And just empathy, honestly, just being empathetic, not just coming in and having the mindset of privilege that you don't have to think about who was there before and that type of thing. Anyway, I've rambled on a lot, but long story short, there are black people in Portland. I would recommend visiting Portland. I will definitely be back. I will definitely be connecting with the black business owners that I met there, and I look forward to going back, honestly. So hope that was helpful for anyone that is interested in going to Portland, learning more about Portland and the black community there and gentrification there. And yeah, guys, talk to you next time. Bye.